These creepy, abandoned theaters hiding evil secrets will either scare you into your nightmares or pique your curiosity enough to want to visit. Either way, get your popcorn ready for this one. The New Amsterdam Theater. This is the ghost in green. Now, she appeared in the still of the night, a woman in a shimmering green beaded gown gliding across the floor into darkness. Now, she was blowing a kiss and vanishing through a wall. That's what a night guard claimed he saw in the long abandoned New Amsterdam Theater located in New York City. Now, the New Amsterdam Theater opened in 1903 as a Broadway jewel, but by the 1980s, it lay in ruins. Now, mushrooms grew on the walls, water flooded the floors, and the once golden ceilings rotted away and rusted. During restoration, in the 1990s, when the theater was nothing but a decaying shell, workers and guards began to see her, a glamorous figure carrying a small blue bottle. Many believe this is Olive Thomas, a Ziegfeld girl who passed away very tragically in Paris in 1920 after accidentally ingesting mercury bichloride. Now, the guard who reported her said she walked across the stage and actually just disappeared through a solid wall. When police searched, they found no one, but he quit days later because he was so terrified of the incident. Now, over the years, others have actually claimed to have seen her as well. Sometimes, curtains stir with no wind, footsteps are echoing through empty dressing rooms, and her figure appears in mirrors only to then vanish once approached. Now, the restoration uncovered hidden corridors, trap doors as well, and even bricked off rooms that were, long forgotten. Caretakers reported very cold spots in kind of, their old private duplex there where strange artifacts once sat. One said he actually heard chains rattling in a defunct elevator shaft, though that lift had been sealed decades earlier. Now, some staff believe Olive is playful, blowing kisses at actors and appearing during opening nights as if to bless or possibly curse a show. Bangor Opera House. Now, this is the firefighter and the little girl. Now, in Bangor, Maine, actors say they've seen a shadowy figure lurking in the balcony, even though no one should actually be there. Now, the Penobscot Theatre Company, which operates out of the old Bangor Opera House site, is believed to actually be haunted by more than one restless spirit. Some allege maybe even as close to 10 or 20. The original opera house actually burned down to the ground in 1914, and legend actually has it and says that a firefighter passed away in that particular blaze. Now, his spirit is said to haunt the new building, pacing dark hallways at night and watching performances from the shadows. During one show, an actor actually said he noticed a figure in the upper balcony where no one was supposed to be seated at all, so that's spooky. Now, when they looked again after looking away, that spirit was then gone, of course. Now, backstage performers, tell of footsteps in empty hallways, doors locking and then unlocking on their own and being slammed shut, sinks turning the water on and off, and whispering voices calling out their names. One actress felt her costume kind of tug sharply, though she was alone in the dressing room. No one else was there, so who did it? Others have seen a young girl in a white dress wandering the corridors as well. Some actually describe her as transparent, gliding silently before fading away. Now, a group once said that they used a Ouija board in the theater and claimed they contacted both the firefighter and the little girl. The mix of protective and unsettling energy has left performers very uneasy. Some don't even want to be there. They say every time they step on stage, they actually wonder who's really watching them from the dark. Theatre Royal. This is in Drury Lane, and this is the story of the man in gray and the hidden bones. Now, during renovations back in the 1800s, skeletal remains were discovered bricked up inside a wall at London's Theatre Royal in Drury Lane. Now, ever since, actors and actresses and audiences alike have spoken of the man in gray, one of the most famous ghosts in theater history, period. Now, he appears as an 18th century nobleman in a powdered wig, a hat, a cloak, and he's walking usually from the upper circle to a royal box before just vanishing into the very wall where bones were found. Witnesses describe him carrying a sword, his face very pale but also very serious, and many performers consider him a bad omen. Now, seeing the man in gray is said to guarantee a production success also. It's a little contradicting there, but also chills even the bravest of actors, so they're scared. Drury Lane's hauntings don't stop stop there though. Charles Macklin, an actor who once unalived a fellow performer in an argument, is said to still wander backstage, reenacting kind of his guilt. Now, the ghost of Joseph Grimaldi, the father of modern clowning, is also reported to appear there as well, though usually kind of in a friendlier manner, which is good. Now, whispers follow staff in dark corridors, doors open and slam shut on their own, and actors just feel, sudden drops in temperature, as if someone invisible has kind of brushed past them. Now, the discovery of human remains sealed behind the wall only deepened the theater's haunted reputation, and to this day, few doubt that Drury Lane is a stage for the living and the deceased. Gaiety Theatre, this is in Zeehan, Tasmania, and this is the story of the Wailing woman. Now, in a decaying mining town in Tasmania stands the Gaiety Theatre. Now, this is a crumbling giant, and it was once celebrated as a cultural hub and somewhere for people to go. Now, it's one of Australia's most haunted theaters ever. Locals whisper of a woman, though, who kind of wails through the night, echoing in the halls at all hours. Now, it was built in the late 1800s, and Gaiety once hosted grand performances, but it fell into ruin when the town's fortunes declined. Paranormal investigators who explore the site today report that, there's a lot of eerie phenomena, disembodied voices, moans are picked up on recording devices as well, footsteps crossing the stage, and just sudden blasts of icy air, so a lot of cold spots there. Now, one very chilling account tells of a director standing center stage when a heavy beam kind of cracked overhead. He felt a sudden shove pushing him backwards, and that was just in time to avoid being crushed, so maybe that spirit was looking out for him. Now, he insisted that something unseen, of course, saved him, and he credited that spirit to saving his life. Now, others describe a protective female energy spirit that scolds trespassers and warns them away from danger. The Wailing woman is sometimes said to be a performer who actually allegedly passed away very tragically, or maybe a mother mourning a child lost in the mines, but some claim to see her kind of gliding through the theater at times, her cries piercing the silence, moving very slowly, and sometimes just disappearing out of nowhere. Theater tours often report malfunctioning electronics, drained camera batteries, and shadows darting across walls. So even hardened ghost hunters kind of leave this place shaken and don't really want to return. Orpheum Theater, this is in Memphis. Now, this is the ghost of Mary in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, the Orpheum Theater holds one of the most enduring ghost stories in all of America. This is the spirit of Mary, a 12-year-old girl. She's said to have passed away very tragically in the 1920s, and it's kind of debated, but she was either struck by a car or collapsed during one of her performances. It's unclear, and people kind of go back and forth on this one. But since then, her presence has been felt throughout the theater for years. Staff describe hearing a little girl's laughter, also, the patter of footsteps in empty corridors, soft voices calling from the balcony, some laughter, stuff, just whatever you'd imagine a little girl doing in a theater at that time. Mary has been spotted also sitting in the audience at times, waving at performers, or just kind of drifting through the wings, which is not only distracting for the performers, but, the audience as well. Now, some describe her as very mischievous, tugging on costumes, or humming softly during rehearsals. Paranormal investigators once recorded childlike giggles and actually saw very unusual energy kind of spike on their equipment, which is all kind of linked to Mary's balcony seat. Though she isn't considered a malevolent spirit, her sudden appearances unsettle even veteran actors and, goers, people that go watch performances. Stagehands claim to feel small little cold hands tugging at their clothes. Mirrors backstage usually reflect her fleeting figure, only for it to vanish when looked at directly, of course. Now, some say Mary is tied to a forgotten accident hidden in the theater's history, which was a secret that was never fully revealed. So, whether playful or tragic, her ghost has become a big part of the Orpheum's identity. Performers often say, that she's the theater's kind of permanent audience member, watching every single show from the shadows, refusing to leave, and maybe even cheering them on. I don't know, what do you guys think? But which theater would you want to visit if you could? Or maybe you're too spooked out by now to explore any of them. I know I am, but let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. I'm your host, Ashley. I'll see you next time. These real haunted objects are so evil that Ed and Lorraine Warren locked them away to protect protect people from being cursed or harmed by them. The Raggedy Ann doll that turned into Annabelle. It started with a young nurse finding an innocent gift from her mother sitting in her apartment, a vintage Raggedy Ann doll. But within weeks, that doll went from cute to horrifying. It moved on its own, it shifted positions, it left handwritten notes on parchment paper, except nobody in the apartment owned parchment paper. But the most chilling moment came when the doll was found standing upright, leaning menacingly against a chair, with what looked like drops of red liquid smeared across its fabric hands and chest. That doll became infamous as Annabelle. Now, the Warrens, after investigating, believed it wasn't just haunted, it was a conduit for something demonic. They said a malevolent, inhuman spirit was using the doll as a disguise to get closer to people. During one encounter, a friend of the doll's owner mocked it, daring it to do its worst. That night, he reportedly dreamed of the doll crawling onto his chest and basically getting a hold of his neck.